It's not a rocket, but it's got some pickup. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I am John, and this is a 2002 Volvo V70 2.4T, and this is one of the cars in my stable. Now, I did an introduction to it on my channel, and today I'm going to do a full review of it and what I actually think about it, because this is freaking awesome, and I'm super, super excited. Now, anytime I look at a car, I always ask myself two questions. I'm going to answer these at the end of the video for you. The first is, would I recommend it to others? Would I be proud to recommend it to somebody else and feel confident in that recommendation? And number two, would I be proud to own one for myself? So I answer both those at the end. Overall, I think that this is one of the sexier shapes that Volvo ever put, and it reminds you of why station wagons were so great. I had one in college, didn't exactly have the ladies flocking to me, but it was unbelievably useful, and I love it. And I think this is one of the best shapes that Volvo ever came up with. I deeply, deeply respect this, but it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. Now, if you haven't been here, this is a 2002. We are just buying it as a used car for my son, and it has 49,000 miles on it, and it's in fantastic shape. It's absolutely been flawless, and it is way nicer than you would think. Yeah, it's missing a couple of things like Bluetooth that you would have in a modern car, but look at it. It's beautiful. And so right up front, I've got to say the front end, I absolutely love it. Very classic. The designer of this car said he wanted it to look like the front end of a sports car and the rear end of a Ford Transit. And I'll be honest with you, as stupid as that sounds, I actually think he's right. This could be coming off of a C30, something like that, and then the back end just gives you all of this voluminous space to use. It's been absolutely fantastic. It has a 2.4 liter low pressure turbo 5-cylinder up front, makes about 197 horsepower when it's brand new. Drives like a dream. We'll talk about the interior in a minute. We'll talk about the back seat in a minute. But then the rear, great space back here. Let's take a look. All right, the back, fantastic. It's in great shape. They put in this, previous owner put in these knockoff liners here, not WeatherTech, but you get a nice little cover you can pull out. It's got, I've never even looked, it's got two different things under here. So the first one is a little shallow area. For some reason, we have a plug. I'll figure out what this is for later. Then underneath it, you actually get full-size spare jack, and the battery is back here. Up front, you just get a little more storage. It looks like a little cubby off to the side. I mean, it's just a really well thought out, fuses. Just a really well thought out little area. But what's interesting is, look, they actually put defrosters back here, and this window over here, I thought it was a defroster, but I think it's the antenna. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Now, the back seat's pretty darn nice. It's got these nice little vents right here on the door pillar. Nice little touch. Pretty nice mix of materials here. I mean, it's plastic, but it's soft touch. It's nicely grained. You know, this is 20 years old, but it's better quality than what you get in a lot of modern cars these days. Couple of little hooks up here. Power point back here. This car had a lot of options that you could have back here, like a trash bag or hold drinks and things like that. This doesn't have any of it. It's got a couple of mat pockets and just some really nice seats. Good space. I can put my fist, I'm about 5'9", between the top of my head and the roof here, and then, you know, not quite get my fist sideways between this and the front seat. And the seats sit where I sit. If you can see this, cup holders on the center armrest right here, headrests for the back seat passengers. You know, it's Volvo. You know they focused on safety, but they added a little something special to it. Now up front, I'll bring you inside with me for a minute, but more of this really pretty nice mixed material, super, super soft, power mirrors, power windows, door locks, 3-position memory electric seats, electric on the driver, or excuse me, the passenger side as well. One of the most confusing headlamps I've ever seen. So off, running lights, which includes daytime running lights, and on, and it's not automatic. They're either on or they're off, but they do shut off when you turn off the car. Nice little thing. It's got traction control, and it's in fantastic shape. Come on inside with me. All right. So, as you would expect from a Swedish design, clear, a little stoic interior. Obviously 20 years old. It's got some cosmetic issues here, some cosmetic issues right here. Traction control button down here. Not a lighter, that's just a power point, but automatic climate control. Little cubby. This is really handy. I actually stick my phone there. CD, and look at that, a tape deck. A little dour, but crystal clear gauges, big vents, an attractive steering wheel that makes sense, 5-speed automatic. A center armrest that has 2 positions, including space for all those tape decks you're going to be carrying with you. These super plush, nice seats. This thing even has the manual. Sunroof controls, and this is interesting to me. A light on the left, light on the right, and then for some reason a separate button to turn on both of them at the same time. Power sunroof controls. Let's see, I've never even looked in here. Oh yeah, of course. Just a fantastic car. And one of the things that makes it more interesting is the seats. Volvo being a leader in safety, if you have a wreck, the seats actually lean forward to help cushion you, but then the seat headrests actually push forward to help prevent whiplash. You've heard about this before, but I'm not sure it wasn't introduced on a Volvo. I really don't know. Absolutely a fantastic car. Really clean inside, really comfortable, but let's get this thing on the road. Now, a little bit of history about the Volvo V70. This is actually based on what they call their P2 platform. It was introduced, I think, in 1998 on their big car, the S80, and then it was resized to this, where they had a sedan version, they had a wagon version, and then they had the cross country, a sport utility-ish one. That was right before Ford bought them that they introduced this platform. This specific model came out, I think, in 2001. And Ford liked the platform so much, they took it and modified it. I believe they called that the D3 platform, if I remember correctly. And they used that on the Taurus. But it was such a flexible platform, they ended up using it on the Ford Flex, no pun intended, as well as the Explorer. So it's very interesting to me that I have bought this, and then my wife's Explorer is essentially, if it's not a brother-sister relationship, it's a cousin relationship. So my wife and I are actually joking they're brother cousins. So it's a tremendously successful and tremendously flexible platform, and it's eye-opening to drive this. I'm just in a subdivision right now. I'll get it out on a little bit faster in a minute. But my opinion of Volvos, I have sat in, ridden in, and driven many Volvos. And I've never owned one until now. I've always had the opinion of Volvos being almost Germanic, certainly with a clear, simple, not depressing, but serious dashboard. And I've always thought of them as being a little hard, the seats being just a little hard. I know they fall on the luxury end, certainly from a pricing standpoint, but generally you thought of them as BMWs that were a little more serious, for librarians and professors, but also not handling as well. And I don't think this is. As a front-wheel drive car. I don't think it's gonna challenge a BMW, but it handles tremendously. What surprised me is how soft it is. These seats are fantastic. They're among the more plush seats that I've sat in for a long time. I mean, really, really comfortable seats and very, very adjustable. Transmission shifts well. It seems to know what I want, and when you get on it, it's got some power. It's not a sports car, 197 horsepower. You're not going to be, you're not going to be racing some BMWs with 6 cylinders, but it's got some get up and go more than you would think by looking at the body style. It's a little narrower than I expected. This body is about 4 centimeters wider than the previous generation, and it never feels tight. Like the way they've cut out the arm right here, there's plenty of room to put your arm. This is nearly the perfect height to set your arm. It's not overly big. My problem is where the handles are right here next to the window switches. Just a little tight on my knees on the outside. The inside up against the instrument panel, perfect space. There's no real dead pedal, but it has some of the biggest leg room I've seen in a long time. There's nowhere to put my left foot, which is just a little uncomfortable. I like it tucked up a little bit. Minor complaint for a car like this. Ergonomics have been fantastic. I mean, some of the buttons do feel just a little scattered around. My bigger complaint is the window switches are really far back to reach. Let me take this corner. A little uncomfortable, and I think that maybe the left and right side view mirrors, they had 2 different buttons which you have to switch on and off to do them electric. It's a little overly complex than it needed to be. Noise levels are really very good. Better than my Honda Accord by far. A little bit, as you would expect in a station wagon, a little bit more road noise coming in from the back. As a comparison, it's quieter than that Hyundai Genesis Coupe that I recently tested. But really, really a nice place to be. And like what you would expect from a luxury car, you really just put it in drive, press auto on the air conditioning, the heater, and you just kind of forget about it. But what I was saying is that my opinion of Volvos are being a little hard. The seats being a little hard, Germanic, BMW-ish seats. Dashboard being hard. I'm surprised at how soft this car is. From the seats to some of the material on the dash and on the arm, on the doors and on the armrest right here. This is really comfortable, and it never feels BMW-ish in its handling. It's a 4,700 pound vehicle, but it rides good. It never wallows. It never rolls around. It feels nice and tight, controlled without being harsh. What surprised me when I had a chance to spend some time behind the wheel and settle in, and I still don't think I've got the seat quite right, but with all this flexibility, I'll figure it out. This, for all the world, feels like a really buttoned down Buick. Not the dash layout, not the exterior styling, but the seats and the ride. This honestly feels like a Buick should, not the reputation of a Buick of being a big, fat, and wallowy with no sportiness. I think that's long gone now. This feels tremendous. It never quite feels expensive. It never quite feels luxurious. But it does feel premium. And I guess that's a fair assessment of where it's priced, right? This is not a Camry. This is not an Accord. This is not a Chevy or a Ford. It's just overall much nicer. But it's a subdued nice where it doesn't wow you. I guess that's what I'm trying to get around to. I'm not trying to be negative about this car because I'm absolutely blown away with how much I like it. The steering is a little vague, but very quick. Look at that. The transmission shifts well. It's got enough power. There's a little hesitation at the beginning until that turbo really starts getting into it. But you get a tachometer here, so you get to play with that. It just does everything well, and it's immensely satisfying. Not a driver's car like a BMW or even a Jaguar. It's just a reserved premium. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. This test drive was a lot more interesting until the FedEx car pulled in front of us, truck. We're now enjoying a Volvo at 20 miles an hour. And he turns. Haha. It's not a rocket, but it's got some pickup. It really does. It doesn't feel as slow as you would expect. This is really nice. You know, it's just rolling over these bumps. It's absorbing them. You kind of feel them, but you're not hearing them through the suspension. Again, it's not wallowing around. Let me hit this one. A little rattle over here. I think it's my equipment, actually. There's a little grittiness to the car. I don't know if that's a Volvo thing, if that's a 5-cylinder engine thing, if maybe, as I mentioned in my other video, if maybe there's something funny with the CV joints or the power steering. I don't really know. But there's a little grittiness to it. It could be the fact it's just a 20-year-old car. Now, I'm not stopping from a high speed there because I'm stuck behind these people, but the brakes, there's a good little bit of movement that gets just a little firm and then a lot of progressive pressure as it stops. The brakes feel fantastic. They don't feel sporty, but they feel eminently controllable and really solid stops. I guess you'd kind of expect that from a Volvo. So that's the Volvo V70 2.4T, and that leaves me with my two questions. The first is, would I recommend this car to others? And the answer is absolutely. If you can find one in good condition, it's been taken care of. I have a little concern about the cost of any repairs because it is a European car, but these are notoriously reliable. They're incredibly comfortable, great use of space, relatively fuel efficient. They're fantastic. And the fact is that there's so many people out there that are buying sport utilities that this is what they need. This car feels in so many ways way advanced from a 2002, a 20-year-old car. It's a fantastic platform. Would I be proud to own one? I think the answer's got to be yes, because I was so excited to buy this. We jumped on it as fast as we could. I've always enjoyed these cars. I've always wanted one. I've always admired how they look. Yeah, I'm a nerd, but these things are absolutely awesome. So if you're looking for a car like this, if you're looking for a good buy and you can find one in good condition, absolutely, I would recommend you get one. And I look forward to enjoying this one, hopefully for years to come. Thanks for being here, guys.